Alex Pereira just dropped a massive bombshell message directly to Dana White and the entire MMA world. I'm going to boxing. The three-time UFC Light Heavyweight Champion has just confirmed he's leaving the Octagon to pursue professional boxing. This isn't speculation. This is final. The reigning champ is refusing to accept limitations. At 38 years old, he's running out of time, and he wants to become a three-sport world champion before he retires. But first, there's one more massive fight he wants. Jon Jones at heavyweight, the UFC White House, June 2026.
Essa é a melhor aposta?
Não, queria super luta.
No, I want a super fight.
Oh, super fight at heavyweight.
I can think of one.
Wow,
name
Derek
that would,
Lewis. It's Aspinall, man.
Bom, não sei se pô, Casa Branca, Jon Jones.
Jon
seria uma
Jones.
super luta.
Oh, at the White House.
Jon Jones. That's
okay.
a super fight.
All right, so he's
Stick with us as we break down what this bombshell means for the UFC and combat sports. This isn't about money. Listen to what Pereira said on the ConnectCast podcast. I like challenges. I want to be the best. When I got into kickboxing, they didn't believe me. MMA, same thing. Boxing, they'll say the same thing. But I'm used to it. I just want to go out there and fight. At 38, Pereira is at a crossroads. He's dominated light heavyweight. He's beaten nearly everyone. The challenge is gone from the UFC. He's already a two-division Glory kickboxing champion. He's already a three-time UFC champion. He's already in the Kickboxing Hall of Fame. But he's never competed for a world title in professional boxing. That's why he's doing this. This is about becoming something only a handful of athletes in history have ever achieved. A three-sport world champion. This is about immortality. Now, at 38, transitioning to boxing is incredibly risky. Professional boxing is a completely different beast. Floyd Mayweather dominated Conor McGregor in 2017. McGregor looked like an amateur in the ring.
Boys 2001. Emotional shouties in this bitch. Machiavelli. Bitches come and go. But you know what's there.
But here's the difference. Pereira isn't just an MMA fighter. He's a striker. He's a former professional kickboxer with 33 wins and a championship pedigree. His boxing fundamentals are already world-class. His hand speed is elite. His footwork is refined. He's not starting from scratch. Pereira is probably the only fighter who could realistically attempt this at 38. He's already fluent in the language of punching and footwork. That changes everything. And here's what's stunning. Pereira hasn't even officially entered boxing, and major names are already calling him out.
Oh my God!
Getting him that TKO finish.
oh, high kick!
Jake Paul threw down the gauntlet after his Mike Perry victory. But the bigger one, Oleksandr Usyk, the undisputed heavyweight champion, publicly suggested a matchup with Pereira. Usyk is taking Pereira seriously before he's even thrown a punch in professional boxing. The financial opportunity is massive. Conor McGregor earned $100 million from Floyd Mayweather. Francis Ngannou collected $30 million facing Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua.
He was quite special because he stopped me. He did what Tyson Fury couldn't done, you know. And you know, he wasn't my day, and he's just way better than me today.
But more importantly, the legacy opportunity is real. A three-sport world champion, that's immortality. But Pereira isn't rushing out of the UFC yet. He has one more mission, Jon Jones at heavyweight. The plan? UFC White House event, June 2026. Jon said, "I think he's at a certain age that's a little elevated, like mine, and we don't have time to waste."
But for me, if you were my manager, if you were on my team, why not fight against Pereira, a guy who's the same age as you, and we walk around the same exact size? Right now, I had to eat a big breakfast because I'm getting underneath 235.
Jon Jones has never suffered a legitimate loss in 30 professional fights. He's the GOAT, Defeating him would cement Pereira among the truly legendary names in combat sports. And here's the beautiful part. If Pereira loses, his legacy doesn't take a hit. If Jones loses, his legacy is untarnished. Both are already legendary. But a win? That's immortality. Both fighters want this. Dana White knows it. Everyone knows this is the fight that needs to happen before Pereira pivots to boxing. After Pereira dropped this bombshell directly to Dana White, the UFC president has been quiet. No official announcement on Pereira versus Jones yet.
I had a great day. Just about to take off here from Washington, D.C. We had the meeting at the White House. Could not have gone better. This is going to be awesome. White House fight is on. The White House fight is on. I will have more details on that in the next couple weeks. But we got it done today.
But make no mistake, Dana White wants to make this fight. Why? Because this is historic. The White House venue, the GOAT versus a legend. This is the kind of event that draws mainstream attention. If Dana White says no, he looks small. He looks like a promoter who doesn't understand what's being offered. The White House event in June 2026 is perfect for this super fight. Everything points to this happening. Let's zoom out. What Pereira is attempting represents something bigger than one fighter's ambition. It says the best fighters aren't confined to one discipline. It says greatness isn't defined by staying in your lane. A generation ago, unthinkable. Fighters competed in one sport, but we're in a new era. Francis and Ngannou proved crossover fights are real. Now Pereira is taking it further. In 6 months, we could see Pereira versus Jones at the White House. In 2 years, we could see Pereira stepping into the professional boxing ring, potentially facing Oleksandr Usyk or another elite heavyweight. The man refuses to accept limitations. He refuses to accept that his best days are behind him. That's why this bombshell matters. Here's what you need to know. Alex Pereira has dropped a bombshell. He's told Dana White and the entire combat sports world, I'm going to boxing. It's ambitious, it's risky, it's probably crazy. But it's also the kind of bold declaration that separates great athletes from legendary ones. The next step? Dana White needs to make Pereira versus Jon Jones happen. Everything else flows from there.
When Dana White was in here, he didn't seem over the moon about the idea of you fighting at heavyweight.
I don't know. There's still fights here in this division, but we'll see. I mean,
if you could send a message to him, I'm sure you'll have meetings and stuff, but what would your pitch be to move up to heavyweight?
Não precisa. A gente teve conversa lá atrás.
No need. We already talked backstage.
What did he say?
O que ele falou?
Segredo.
It's a secret.
I think at 38 years old, he does have the time to go to heavyweight because, as we know, those guys do have a longer career. So I think when you've got Carlos Ulberg there, who's on an 8 or 9 fight win streak, who's knocking people out the way that he has, I would like to see that. A guy that's as big as him, that's as tall as him, that on paper has the kickboxing credentials to be able to challenge him. You know, that'd be a fun fight to see. I mean, let's be honest, Carlos Ulberg deserves it. Yuri Prochazka, we love Yuri, right? There's not a man alive that watches this sport that isn't obsessed with Yuri Prochazka, and I would love to see him get a third matchup. And we're going to talk about his fight with Khalil in a little bit. But after what I saw versus Khalil, I don't want to throw him in against Pereira just now. He's fought him twice. It's hard to get a third fight against the guy. We did see a lot of openings. We did see a lot of typical Yuri madness, but I don't think it would have got to the third round or the closing minutes of the fight with Alex Pereira, so let Yuri do his full crazy stuff. I think the next fight is Carlos Ulberg, and then, yeah, by all means, let the man go up to heavyweight. He said that he wanted Jon Jones. He did a little interview last night after the fight. He said he doesn't want the winner of Cyril Gane and Aspinall. He wants Jon Jones at the White House.
Alex Pereira drops the massive bombshell message on Dana, and he made it clear. I want a UFC heavyweight fight with Jon Jones. He said Alex Pereira says that he spoke with Dana White backstage about his desire to move up to the heavyweight division. We already talked backstage. It's a secret. Is he exposing his truth and also dealing with UFC? Can Jon Jones be back in the UFC White House?
Most probable matchup next. You got Carlos Ulberg, you got Yuri Prochazka. You also have heavyweight.
Heavyweight.
Well, we got Aspinall and Cyril Gane.
No, I want a super fight.
Jon Jones at the White House.
We've both done a lot in the sport, and I feel like even if he were to lose to me, he's still the greatest of all time. Essa é a melhor aposta.
Não, queria super luta.
No, I want a super fight.
Oh,
Ooh.
super fight at heavyweight.
I can think of one.
Wow,
name.
Derek
I would,
Lewis. It's Aspinall, man.
Bom, não sei se, pô, Casa Branca, Jon Jones.
Jon Jones.
Super luta.
At the White House.
Jon Jones. That's
okay.
a super fight.
All right, so he's...
If you're new here, hit that subscribe button because today we're diving into the biggest story in MMA right now. Alex Pereira just confirmed secret negotiations with Dana White about a heavyweight move, and Jon Jones is the target. Let's break down everything you need to know.
Essa aí, meu irmão. Porra, aqui por dentro e o outro fora. Tava esperto ali. Pode estar por dentro. Entendeu? Mas tá movimentando, foi difícil. Aí parou, chutei. Essa aí já foi uma. Agora, de novo, ó. Oi! Aí já sentiu legal. Porque uma sentiu mesmo, aí agora quando eu chutar a terceira, já virou. Trocou. Aí eu chutei, ó, pegou só um pontinho no pé, ó, tá vendo? Pô, pegou aqui, ó.
O Ali falou assim.
Aí, vou te falar que quebrou as duas costelas ali, meu irmão. Sai que nem o Oleksandr assim agora, ó.
Fresh off his devastating 80-second knockout of Magomed Ankalaev at UFC 320 to reclaim the light heavyweight championship, Alex Pereira dropped a quote that has the entire MMA world talking. When asked about moving to heavyweight, Poatan revealed, "We already talked backstage. It's a secret."
Jon Jones versus Alex Pereira for the BMF at heavyweight. Yes, I said it. It makes sense. It makes perfect sense. You want to have an American headline in White House. You want to do it with the greatest of all time. John's not going to fight Tom Aspinall. That's fine. Alex Pereira's been calling this fight. He's a bigger name than Tom Aspinall. And what he was able to do to Magomed Ankalaev, I remember talking to John, and John was like, dude, I just want super fights. Maybe you can have Tom as a co-main against somebody, against Francis Ngannou. You know, Francis is about to become a free agent.
I like where your head's at today, Henry. Every star you have are saying, yes, I want to fight. And I haven't said it yet, Dana, but you know, you want to call me. Yeah, I'm down too.
The UFC is probably going to go the route of Pereira and Jones, and I'm not mad at that either.
This isn't speculation anymore, folks. Pereira is confirming that he and Dana White have had private discussions about a heavyweight move. But here's where the story gets even more interesting. During his post-fight interview with Joe Rogan, Pereira had a completely different plan. At the post-fight press conference, he admitted, "With all the respect, I was going to ask for Jon Jones at the White House, but with everything that has happened, it's not the right time to talk about it."
It sounded like maybe before everything happened with Jon Jones in his personal life, you were maybe planning a call out of him.
Você falou que é uma super luta, isso seria o campeão do Aspinall contra o Cyril Gane, ou apesar de tudo que aconteceu com o Jon Jones, esse era o plano, era pedir o Jon Jones?
Bom, só vou falar aqui uma vez só na pergunta dele, não quero mais falar sobre isso, né, com todo o respeito do Jon Jones, tudo que aconteceu. Não quero que depois... tem muitas pessoas aqui, eu já falei isso lá atrás, né, falei, pelo amor de Deus, tô falando com todo respeito e gostaria que vocês me respeitassem também. Mas sim, esse era o meu plano, né, de estar chamando o Jon Jones, de estar lutando na Casa Branca, né, mas com tudo que aconteceu, eu tenho que tomar cuidado como que eu falo, né, então eu peço, pelo amor de Deus, que vocês não criem caso com isso.
I'll answer his question and I'll answer this subject one time, and you know, I with all the respect I have for the situation, and I've said this in the back, you know, a lot of people try to create a lot of stuff around this. So again, please, with all the respect, I was gonna ask for Jon Jones in the White House, but with everything that happened, it's not the right time to talk about it.
Pereira was referring to the tragic passing of Jon Jones's brother, Arthur Jones, just days before UFC 320. Instead of making his planned call-out, Pereira showed incredible class by calling for a moment of silence. That gesture of respect even prompted Jon Jones to break his social media silence, tweeting, "Wow, Alex." So what do we know now? Pereira has been planning this heavyweight move. He's targeting Jon Jones specifically, and most importantly, he's already in negotiations with Dana White behind closed doors. The question becomes, what exactly are they discussing, and is this deal going to happen?
If you did go to heavyweight, we're seeing now a lot that the champions have to vacate their belt when they're moving up. Are you willing to part ways with that title if you go to heavyweight?
Você indo para o peso pesado, a gente está vendo que os campeões que mudam de categoria estão tendo que deixar o cinturão vago. Você está disposto a fazer isso?
Não, acho que não é necessário. Todo mundo sabe a frequência que eu luto, então isso não vai ser problema.
I don't think that's needed. Everyone knows how often I fight, so that's not going to be an issue.
When Dana White was in here, he didn't seem over the moon about the idea of you fighting at heavyweight. If you could send a message to him, I'm sure you'll have meetings and stuff, but what would your pitch be to move up to heavyweight?
Quando o Dana estava aqui, ele não parecia tão empolgado com essa ideia, né? Mas se você pudesse mandar um recado, claro que você vai ter uma reunião, mas se puder mandar um recado para o Dana.
Não precisa. A gente já teve conversa lá atrás.
No need. We already talked backstage.
What did he say?
O que ele falou?
Segredo.
It's a secret.
Now, let's talk about the massive elephant in the room. The UFC White House card scheduled for June 2026. This isn't just another fight night. This is being positioned as the most historic card in UFC history, celebrating America's 250th birthday on President Trump's birthday. Dana White has promised the biggest fights ever assembled for this event, and fighters across the entire roster are desperate to be on this card. Jon Jones himself came out of retirement after this event was announced. That tells you everything about the magnitude of this moment.
But you know what's the most important? 250 years is the most important, above World Cup, above Olympic. But we got them all coming. And on June 14th, next year, we're going to have a big UFC fight at the White House, right at the White House, on the grounds of the White House.
The White House timeline also works perfectly for both fighters. It gives Pereira time to heal from the suspected broken foot he suffered during the Ankalaev fight, and it gives Jones ample preparation time, which could be crucial. According to AI Fight predictions, with full preparation time for the White House card, Jones would have a significantly better chance of winning compared to a quick turnaround fight. The pieces are all on the board. The question is whether Dana White will put them together.
Why not fight against Pereira, a guy who's the same age as you, and we walk around the same exact size? Pereira walks around at like 240, and he has magnificent accolades. Business-wise, it makes more sense. Fight the nobody that may be more dangerous, or fight the guy with all the accolades, who's incredibly dangerous.
But here's the complication. Dana White isn't fully sold on this fight, at least not publicly. After UFC 320, Dana made his position clear. While I'm not against him moving up, I believe there are still compelling fights for him at 205 pounds. Dana has legitimate concerns that can't be ignored. First, there's the size difference. Dana has repeatedly stated that Jon Jones is simply a much bigger man than Pereira. Jones could never make 185 pounds like Pereira did in his middleweight days. Even though both fight around light heavyweight, Jones walks around significantly heavier and carries more mass at heavyweight.
What is your hesitation about him going up to heavyweight? He's mentioned it a few times in the past. He always wanted that Jon Jones fight, and I understand why maybe that fight wasn't appealing to you, but what is your reservations about sending him to heavyweight at this point?
Probably that he was a middleweight. He was a middleweight. He's going to jump up 2 weight classes in the UFC. It's not like jumping up 2 weight classes in boxing. It's a big jump. Not that I have any reservations about it. I mean, the guy is he's in a division that there's still some interesting fights. I don't know. It's just I like the guy so much. We'll see. We'll have to talk about it. I just don't see why, unless he wants to retire, why throwing him in at heavyweight makes any sense. Other than I just end up saying he wants to do it so bad, I'll just say yes. I don't know.
Second, there's the light heavyweight division to consider. Carlos Ulberg is waiting as the clear #1 contender. The UFC has invested in building that storyline. Does Pereira just abandon the division after one defense? But Pereira has a strong counter-argument. When asked if he'd need to vacate, he responded, "I don't think that's needed. Everyone knows how often I fight, so that's not going to be an issue." And he's absolutely right. Pereira fights more frequently than almost any champion in modern UFC history. He's defended titles, moved divisions, and stayed incredibly active throughout his entire UFC run.
Alex, right here. I know you said you're interested in a super fight. Can you elaborate on that? Is it the winner of Tom Aspinall and Ciryl Gane? Or it sounded like maybe before everything happened with Jon Jones in his personal life, you were maybe planning a call out of him.
I'll answer his question, and I'll answer this subject one time. And, you know, I with all due respect, with all the respect I have for the situation, and I've said this in the back, you know, a lot of people try to create a lot of stuff around this. So, again, please, with all the respect, I was going to ask for Jon Jones in the White House, but with everything that happened, it's not the right time to talk about it.
You know, and Ciryl Gane, like, who do you think he will win? Is the winner something that interests you?
Cara, ali
it's a tough fight. You know, Tom is a complete fighter, but I do feel like he's fought a lot of aggressive guys. And I think Gane is a guy who's going to do a lot of movement. He's going to be a little more cautious and you know, just moving around a lot. It might frustrate Tom. You know, so first, second, third round, maybe Tom can't find Ciryl Gane. So I think it's going to be a different fight. We'll see. Really don't know. We'll have to see. You know, obviously my body gets heavier. I don't know how long I can cut to 205. So we're just going to have to see and take it fight by fight.
Poatan Pereira just dropped a massive bombshell that's sending shockwaves through the heavyweight division. The light heavyweight king has a stark warning for Tom Aspinall ahead of UFC 321. Alex Pereira's shocking prediction for the UFC 321 heavyweight title fight between Tom Aspinall and Ciryl Gane. Poatan didn't hold back, and what he said might just change how you see this matchup. All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Alex Pereira, fresh off preparing for his own UFC 320 rematch with Magomed Ankalaev, took time during a media scrum to deliver a prediction that nobody saw coming. But Pereira, he sees something completely different. Through his translator, Poatan laid it out clearly. This is going to be a tough night for Tom Aspinall. Here's exactly what he said. It's a tough fight. Tom is a complete fighter, but I do feel like he's fought a lot of aggressive guys, and I think Gane is a guy who's going to do a lot of moving. He's going to be a little more cautious, and that moving around a lot might frustrate Tom.
It's a tough fight, you know. Tom is a complete fighter, but I do feel like he's fought a lot of aggressive guys, and I think Gane is a guy who's going to do a lot of movement. He's going to be a little more cautious and you know, just moving around a lot. It might frustrate Tom.
But wait, it gets even more interesting. Pereira continued. First, second, third round. Maybe Tom can't find Ciryl Gane. I think it's going to be a different fight.
You know, so first, second, third round, maybe Tom can't find Ciryl Gane. So I think it's going to be a different fight. We'll see.
One of the most devastating strikers in UFC history is telling us that Tom Aspinall might spend 3 rounds chasing Gane around the octagon without being able to land that signature knockout blow. That's a huge statement, and if that wasn't enough, Alex Pereira took to Twitter to double down on his prediction, sending a direct message to the MMA world. But here's where it gets really interesting. Tom Aspinall himself seems to agree that this won't be a typical fight. In an exclusive interview with Bloody Elbow, Tom Aspinall revealed something that backs up Pereira's prediction. He believes Ciryl Gane has been working on the holes in his ground game, and he wouldn't be surprised if Gane tries to take him down. Aspinall said, "I wouldn't be surprised if he tried to take me down. It's MMA, so I'm preparing for everything. We've seen that Ciryl has holes in his ground game, but he's improved."
And I think that Ciryl is no exception, but obviously there are some weaknesses in his ground game that we've seen, but I'm sure he's improved. You know what I mean? This is an MMA fight. It can go anywhere, so I'm sure we'll both be ready for anything.
Now that's a plot twist. Everyone remembers Gane being out-wrestled by Francis Ngannou and submitted by Jon Jones in his previous title shots. His ground game has been his Achilles heel, but if Aspinall is preparing for grappling exchanges, that tells us Gane's camp has been cooking up something special. Aspinall continued, I wouldn't be surprised if we get in a lot of grappling exchanges this time, and I wouldn't be surprised if we have a straight-up stand-up fight either. You've got to be ready for anything in MMA, and I'm preparing for everything. This is the mark of a true champion, respecting your opponent's evolution. Aspinall isn't overlooking Gane. He knows this is his toughest test yet, and he's preparing for every scenario. The question is, will preparation be enough against Gane's elite movement? Tom Aspinall walked into a hostile environment in the French capital, and let me tell you, the Parisian crowd showed up for their hometown hero, Cyril Gane. Aspinall tried to kick things off with a simple statement. I mean, there was nobody else to fight, and that's when the boos came raining down. The crowd drowned him out completely.
I mean, there was nobody else to fight.
When they finally let him speak, Aspinall delivered a classic line. If I hit anybody, I can knock anybody out. Cyril is no exception. Then he added, it's rare to see two heavyweights our size move like we do. This is the new age of heavyweights.
No, I think if I hit anybody, I can knock anybody out. It's pretty rare that you see any guys of our size that move like we do. So I think this is really like the new age of the heavyweights.
And Gane? Cool as ice. He simply said, he's never fought someone like me. I bring something different.
Never fought someone like me though. I bring something very different. I've got my own.
Both fighters are 6'5". Both are mobile. Both are dangerous. But only one can leave Abu Dhabi as champion. So we've heard from Pereira. We've heard from the fighters themselves, but what about the people who train with Aspinall every single day? Martin Boudet, a frequent training partner of Aspinall and part of that heavyweight megacamp that includes longtime KSW champion Phil DeFries, had this to say, I love Tom Aspinall and like his team, his father, like everyone in that team. I think he will secure like spectacular win and finish in that and like defend the title.
Like I love Tom Aspinall and like his team, his father, like everyone in that team. So I'm really looking up to that fight, and I will be cheering for Tom. I think he will secure like a spectacular win and finish in that and like defend the title.
Now Boudet is obviously biased. These are his training partners, his friends. But what's interesting is that even someone in Aspinall's inner circle is predicting a spectacular finish, not necessarily a quick one. Could this be a war that ends dramatically in the later rounds? And here's a fun fact. If Aspinall wins at UFC 321 and Boudet captures the Octagon MMA heavyweight belt in his upcoming fight with Will Fleury, Team Aspinall would hold major heavyweight belts across multiple organizations worldwide. Talk about dominance.
Last minute. Full clock. Last minute. Full clock.
So, let's break this down. What do we really have here? On one side, you have Tom Aspinall, a 15-3 fighter who's been an absolute wrecking ball, finishing opponents faster than they can blink. He's got power, he's got submission skills, and he's got the heavyweight gold around his waist.
Low kick as well.
On the other side, you have Cyril Gane, a 13-2 fighter with some of the best footwork and striking in the heavyweight division. Yes, he's lost 2 title fights, but both were against all-time greats in Ngannou and Jones. And now, he's had time to shore up his weaknesses. Here's what makes this fight so intriguing. Aspinall has been knocking out aggressive, come-forward fighters. But Gane is the opposite. He's elusive, patient, and tactical. Can Aspinall adjust his game to catch a fighter who doesn't want to engage in a firefight? But what do you think? Is Pereira right? Will Gainey's movement frustrate Aspinall and take this fight into the championship rounds? Or will Aspinall prove everyone wrong and score another first-round knockout? Drop your predictions in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest MMA news and analysis.
Você, Poatan, você está certo. Eu não vou ter nenhuma palavra a dizer, porque você vai acabar dormindo depois que ter que trabalhar na borracharia de novo.
Pode ser, né? Tá vendo? O cara fala besteira. Eu nem tinha visto isso aí, velho. De verdade.
Eu tô ligado.
Pô, juro pelos meus filhos, velho. Não tinha visto. Aí eu fiquei pensando, né, velho? O cara chegar ao ponto de se esconder dentro do PI com medo. Eu achei, não, de verdade. Eu achei que, tipo, o UFC ali, pô. E olha só, quando a gente chegou o segurança depois. E aí eu falei, pô, nunca teve isso, velho. Tipo, pô, eu nunca demonstrei que eu queria ter. Eu nunca fiz isso,
de
entendeu?
boa,
Aí eu fiquei ali na minha. Mas agora eu consigo entender que o cara fala bosta e depois ele... Porque, tipo assim, eu no lugar dele, eu falar uma parada, mano, eu vou segurar a parada e vou ficar ali, entendeu? Não vou sair pro cara ficar à vontade aqui não, entendeu? E, pô, de verdade, eu segurava o BO, entendeu? Mas o ponto de o cara se esconder numa sala, velho, porque uma coisa até engraçada que aconteceu ali agora, a saída do PI, né? Eu vi ali o treinador do Ankalaev, eu fiquei ali na minha, mas não vi o Ankalaev. O engraçado foi na hora que eu saí do PI, aí quando eu cheguei no carro, né? Um cara do meu time, né? Tava lá dentro ainda, né? E viu, tipo, a menina do PI falando pro Ankalaev, pode vir, ele já foi embora já. Tipo, porra, escondendo o cara, escondendo o cara na salinha ali, velho. O cara acha que eu vou encontrar ele e vou sair brigando com o cara, velho. Pô, não sou idiota, né, velho?
Mas será que não foi o que ele falou na internet?
Eu não sei o que ele falou, não.
Você, Poatan, você está certo. Eu não vou ter nenhuma palavra a dizer, porque você vai acabar dormindo depois que ter que trabalhar na borracharia de novo.
Pode ser, né? Tá vendo? O cara fala besteira. Eu nem tinha visto isso aí, velho. De verdade.
Eu tô ligado.
E, pô, de verdade, eu segurava o BO, entendeu? Mas o ponto de o cara se esconder numa sala, velho, porque eu tô no mesmo ambiente, velho. Pô, o cara é um frouxo, velho. Esse é um frouxo. Pô, eu vou ficar na minha ali, entendeu? Eu nunca vou, tipo, arrumar uma confusão com o cara, nunca vou chegar. Lógico, a não ser que o cara venha pra cima, tá ligado? Tá, eu tenho que me defender também, né? Mas aí, tipo, que campeão é esse, velho? Que campeão de merda, velho. Aí, achei a única besteira que eu falei, velho. Mas é um campeão de merda, velho, um cara desse. Mas sabe por quê? Não pelo que ele fala, mas hoje tem que se esconder numa sala, né? Velho. Demonstrou que é um cagão, velho. Vamos ver. Vamos ver. Porra, se escondendo agora, mas porra, a gente vai dar na jaula lá, velho, trancado lá, velho. Não vai ter. A não ser que ele vai pular a grade, velho. Um campeão de merda, um cara desse, velho. Chama!
Sit down! Go!
Tonight, we dive deep into the brewing storm between former two-division champion Alex Poatan Pereira and current light heavyweight king Magomed Ankalaev. What started as professional rivalry has erupted into personal warfare just days before their highly anticipated UFC 320 rematch on October 4th at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Our top story tonight centers around a shocking encounter at the UFC Performance Institute that has sent shockwaves through the MMA community. According to Alex Pereira, what should have been routine training preparations turned into an embarrassing display of what he calls cowardice from the current light heavyweight champion. Something funny happened just now when I was leaving the PI. I saw Ankalaev's coach there. When I got to the car, someone from my team was still inside, and he heard the girl from the PI say to Ankalaev, He can come now, he's already left.
Uma coisa até engraçada que aconteceu ali agora, a saída do PI, né? Eu vi ali o treinador do Ankalaev, eu fiquei ali na minha, mas não vi o Ankalaev. O engraçado foi na hora que eu saí do PI, aí quando eu cheguei no carro, né? Um cara do meu time, né? Tava lá dentro ainda, né? E viu, tipo, a menina do PI falando pro Ankalaev, pode vir, ele já foi embora já. Tipo, porra.
Pereira claims that Ankalaev was deliberately hiding from him in a separate room, waiting for the all-clear before emerging. The Brazilian didn't hold back in his assessment of the situation. He was hiding. They hid the guy in a little room. This guy thinks I'm going to run into him and start fighting. Do I look stupid, bro?
Escondendo o cara, escondendo o cara na salinha ali, velho. O cara acha que eu vou encontrar ele e vou sair brigando com o cara, velho. Pô, não sou idiota, né, velho?